I am going to record this. Thank you, George, for reminding me. I just started the recording. Okay, before we get started this morning, I want to change my screen so you can see the website. Can everyone see my new screen now? It's got the THD blog on. Okay. I wanted to go over a couple of different things for y'all this morning because I did change some stuff to make it a little bit simpler for y'all. Number one, the annual membership page is now along the top, as is the members in the forum. And yesterday, I actually did a new video, mainly designed for new clients, but it would not help for older clients to view it as well because it has a lot of the updates in it. So if you are signed into the website and you click on for new clients, you have to be gold member or above, then this video will open up. Now the reason I wanted to go over this is when you click play, let me pause it a minute. You're going to see over here there's a menu and you can scroll through the different areas. This video is played much better if you come over here to the little wheel and actually, nope, sorry, I'm trying to figure out how to do full screen. There we go. Right click and go to full screen, and it's going to play a lot better for you this way than the other way. And for some reason it's not doing what I want it to do. So let's go back and try it again. Now, let me pause it again. I don't need to hear myself. If you actually mouse over the video, it is going to show you all the different menu options. I go through all of the indicators, tell you what the indicators are, go through the radar screen, also go through the time frames, the setups, the ATR setup, the Buddha trade setups. Everything is actually there. I may have to work on it because I don't think you're getting to the full screen mode from where it's at. So I may have to go back and kind of redo this to give you the full screen setup, and I'll do that later today. Well, we have a lot of videos, as y'all know. I've probably got over 40 hours of video just on setups and indicators. So this is like a quick overview, and you know, I do suggest under excuse me, there's tips on learning, and I do suggest on this one, well, I can't get it to do right, but I may have to put it on its own page as well because it is a big video, and what I want to do is, you know, actually get it where, you know, when we go to the seminar, you already know the indicators, you already know the setups, and that way during the seminar, starting next year, we can actually just focus on actual trading itself. Okay? But, you know, one of the simple things is, look, make index cards for yourself with the colors for each indicator. So you would have an index card for the ATR indicator, and it would tell you what all the colors mean. You would make an index card for the ADX, and it would tell you what all of the colors mean. When you start reviewing the videos, you know, start out with the price bars, practice it, you know, go back and watch the video again, go back and practice it again. And this really helps you to learn the materials. Yeah, I'm still working on this page because I don't like what it's doing right now. And like I said, I may have to put it in its own page, which y'all may or may not know what that means, but, you know, we'll do what we need to do. Yeah, you really do. Now, you know, the Vegas seminar is 5 days, so we will spend more time on the indicators and on the setups, Chris. But starting next year, the seminars are going to go back to 2.5 days. So you really need to know this stuff before you come to a seminar, so we can actually practice on trading. Okay. And the only way to do that is to get you to learn all of this stuff before you come to the seminar. Any questions about that? Now, the other thing that I actually did, I did two new videos. One is on the binary options and one is on the spreads. Both of them have quizzes at the end of the video. So I think the videos are less than 10 minutes. So for those of you that are looking to trade spreads or looking to trade binaries, I really suggest that you go and watch those videos. You should be able to make 100 on those videos. It's nothing complex in those videos at all. Any questions on that? And I will keep working on the new clients page so that you can open it in full screen. It's not doing what it should be doing right now. So, and I checked it earlier and it did, and now it's not. So we'll just keep working on it until we get it right. And sometimes it takes me a while to get it right, so not a problem. Yeah, fire the webmaster. I wouldn't have a job. Okay, what we're going to do is start with the scanner and multi-charts. And the one thing that you need to realize, and this is where colors really come into play, and you'll see that in the video, the most important thing, I think, is, knowing this means that the ADX line is decreasing. Okay? This means we've had a magenta peak. Even though it's not listed here, I know it is because it's dark. Okay? This has just had a magenta peak. This has just had a magenta peak. And I know that because I know my colors. Okay? So if you don't know your colors on the indicators, you are at a disadvantage. Okay? Now, we do have a couple of market reports, so let me start with those before we go through the radar screen. We have several reports out at 8:30 this morning. We have the building permits, CPI, and core CPI. Okay? So we want to make sure that we are aware of those reports and not be in the market at 8:30 on a 3-minute chart. I do specify that as a 3-minute chart because some of these market reports I'll go ahead and go to on the binaries or on the spreads. Okay? But you don't want to be trading on the future side on a 3-minute chart and there's a market report coming out. If you want to talk about some volatility, now you're going to get some volatility there. Okay? All right. The first thing that I would notice this morning, do you see how the British pound is oversold? In other words, the orange line, which is for the British pound future contract, is below the -50 line. So that tells me that the British pound has been going down and we may get a retracement on it. You can also see that the dollar is up here. It's right at the 50 line, hasn't quite crossed it yet. So this tells me that either later today or tomorrow we're going to get a correction on the British pound. Does everybody understand that and understand how I came up with that logic. Now, I have this set to a 45-minute chart. We can set it to anything we want. We can have it on a 1440. We could have it on a 720. We could have it on a 180. It would not matter. We would still be able to do exactly the same thing. Okay? Any questions on that one? Yes, I'm talking to them about the continuous contracts, Keith. Will we get it? I don't know. I hope we do. I think it would be pretty awesome if they allowed us to pull up a continuous contract. Because when the contracts do roll over, on these lower time frames, it's not much of an issue. 24 hours, you have enough data. But on the higher time frames, it does make a difference. Now, we can create, we can create our own symbol for the continuous contract. But I think they should fix it so we shouldn't have to do that. And the way I see it, if they can do it in TradeStation and they can do it in NinjaTrader, then we should be able to do it in multi-charts as well. Any questions about that, guys? All right. So right now you can see on the euro you're getting divergence to the long side. You're also getting divergence to the long side on the 3-minute British pound. And this is something that's different with TradeStation and multi-charts and NinjaTrader. NinjaTrader is at a lower price because we do not have these volume tools for the market analyzer. So you do pay more for TradeStation in multi-charts, but you also get more indicators because of the divergence suite. Okay, these are telling me this is trend divergence, so they're going to check for buyers on the 45-minute euro chart. Whereas this column here that says THD pullback, this is telling me that we are getting a short divergence as it's pulling back to the ATR. So it's very different divergences there. The main divergence that we use is the ATR divergence because we always want to see our entry coming off of an ATR or coming off of a congestion dot. So, the one that you really watch more than anything is the THD pullback divergence. By that time, I'm usually watching the chart. If I'm not, you can set this up to have either an audio alert or an email alert or a visual alert to pop up and tell you, hey, there's divergence there. Any questions on the differences between the divergence? All right. The next indicator that I have is the second column here, and that is the ADX. So number one, this lets me know if we're expecting any magenta peaks. It lets me know if we're overbought or oversold. For example, the 45-minute is oversold at 74, plus the RSI is also oversold. So again, that's two indications that the British pound is going to pull back. Any other currencies that are overextended? No. The New Zealand, you did have a magenta peak because this is a dark color, and currently you're 5 ticks away from the ATR. So I know just looking at my scanner, I don't even want to look at that market. There's only 5 ticks of potential profit. Does everybody understand that? Now in the trend indicator, we do have the previous bar trend, we have the current bar trend, we have the ticks to the ATR, and we can also identify any currency that is in a congestion area. Now let's go over to my other screen. Okay, can everybody see my new screen? So example, right now on the euro, You see you have the gray dots plotted here. You have the ATR above you. So actually you're still in this congestion area and you're going to pull back to this ATR. Okay, that's what I would be anticipating right now. Now if we go over to the future scanner, and I'm just going to bring this over real quick. Do you see how many of these are in congestion? So there are a lot of futures right now that are in congestion. The ones that I like to look at the most would be the higher time frames. But would that mean that I necessarily do not look at one that's on a lower time frame? No. And the reason is right now you do have this line of congestion dots on the 45-minute, but let's presume that they were not there. When we came back here to this congestion dot, I would be looking to take a long position if that line of congestion dots were not there, or there is enough profit there to actually take a profit before it gets to the congestion dot. Does everybody understand that? Now, right now, it would be a bad idea to go long. Why? Because it's very likely that we're going to get a magenta peak on the 45-minute chart, especially considering that we're at an ATR on the 180-minute time frame. Right, a time frame resistance is in the way. That's exactly right, Jim. Okay, number one, you've got the 45-minute and you have the ATR right here on the 180. That's not going to be a good trade setup, okay? Because it's got to break both of these resistance areas. Now there is potential for it to do that because you've got the congestion area over here on the 720-minute chart. So if we were down here and there's enough room back up here to get a profit, yes, I could take that. That's not the case. You're already there, okay? So at most you would have a 50-50 chance of this going in your direction and the resistance not working. Not a really good trade setup there. Does everybody understand that? Alrighty. Let's go to crude this morning. On crude, you're moving down on the 1440. You are not overextended here. You are moving down on the 720. There's no potential for magenta peak. The only thing you have to watch on the 1440 is if you get a magenta peak in, that will cause a move to the upside. Over on the 180, you are at an ATR above price. On the 45, you are at an ATR below price. So crude's probably not the market I'm going to trade today until it either breaks through this ATR or breaks down through this ATR. Does everybody see that? That's going to be a tight range for you to try to make a profit on. Okay, let's go look at the NASDAQ. So we're moving up, potentially have closed above this line of congestion dots. We're not overextended on the ADX. We're not overextended here on the ADX. We are getting to the point of being overextended on the 180-minute chart. This is the one that matters to me. You're right at 68, okay? So if you notice, if this bar comes down at all, you're going to get a magenta peak. It's going to retrace back to the ATR. Has that magenta peak come in yet? No, it has not. In fact, it has just completed a retracement down here on the 45-minute chart. But if we extend the 45-minute chart up, the one thing that you should note is that this volume was increasing, but they were unable to control the delta there. Do y'all see that? Because the delta closed above zero, which means on this bar, buyers actually came in on that bar. Okay? So that's something to be aware of today. Now, what do we see on the 12-minute? Well, look at the ATR in the way that it has behaved really all morning during the London session. You can see that this ATR has held price up. I think the key is actually going to be whether the 3-minute will find resistance or whether it will go ahead and flip that ATR. If it flips the ATR, I would still want it to come back and test that ATR before I just randomly entered the market. Do y'all understand that? The ATRs are absolutely the best at identifying the support and resistance in an area. It is a Duke trade. Anything that comes off of an ATR is known as a Duke trade. The only question is whether it's going to be a counter trend or a trend trade. NASDAQ is long. No, not unless they break this ATR and they come back and test it and it's on diverging volume. Otherwise, I would be sitting on my hands today. All right, what about the NASDAQ? The NASDAQ, you're right at the congestion dots here, okay, and it doesn't look like you have a lot of buy-in in there. The 720-minute chart is moving up. The ADX is very strong on the 180-minute chart. You know, watch out for this one in case you get a magenta peak on this one. The 45-minute at this time, the ADX line is moving down, but it is not overbought at the moment. Again, we have the same exact scenario as we had on the Dow. Did I not say the Dow? Okay, we're looking at the Dow, guys. We would want to see them flip this ATR and come back and test that ATR on diverging selling volume. I would not mess with this market until that occurs. Yeah, if we get a magenta peak, it will pull back to the ATR, just like it did over here. It pulls back to the ATR, pulls back to the ATR, pulls back to the ATR. It's even over here, pulls back to the ATR. That's what tells us this is going to pull back to the ATR. It does. Everybody understand that? It means that price in the ADX is doing exactly what it should be doing when you see the green dots. And that's one of the questions, Jim, that I answered in the video that I showed y'all. It's just the little details that, you know, they're in the documentation, but, you know, it's a lot of documentation. I know that, and it's a lot of videos. So I wanted something that was really short and sweet that gives you a brief overview of everything. And that was one of the questions that I answered in it. Yeah, I think that helps keep people on track when, you know, you analyze all of these charts together and you say, okay, what does it all mean? Because I know when I started trading multiple time frames, I was like, damn, they must be out of their mind because this one's saying this and this one's saying this and this one's saying this, and I just couldn't figure it out. Okay, these are the days that you don't need to trade because I wanted to trade. I mean, that was my job. So it didn't make sense to me when they were saying trade with multiple time frames. Okay, I'm trading with multiple time frames, but now what do I do? Okay. Someone's asking about the video, and You have to be a member, gold, silver, platinum, or annual, to be able to actually see this, okay? But if you click here, then you would be able to see it, and it goes through all the indicators, the setups, the notes, trade examples. I think I captured like 4 or 5 trade examples. So, but it's just like a way to really get you started, Bonnie, before you watch, 40 hours of videos. Okay, these are the things that you need to watch immediately. All right, so basically on the Dow, you want it to flip this ATR, and then you want it to come back and test for support, and that support has to hold. Now, if you get a magenta peak over here, then of course you're going to come back to the ATR. Don't be surprised if that happens either today or tomorrow. And the reason that I say that is because it's at a congestion dot over here on the 1440. It's on the blog. Hold on just a moment. Let me get it back up. I did change the blog a little bit so that it was easier for y'all to maneuver. So you have annual members in the forum, and then for new clients, it's an explanation of the indicators and the setups with chart examples. Okay? And let me see here. Tell you what, let's get through the markets and then I'll go through and show you what it is, okay? All right, let's go over to the S&P 500. S&P 500, pretty much the same scenario as what we have on the Dow, except you do have the magenta peak coming in on the 180-minute chart, which means that they have to test this ATR on diverging volume, and you can see it is not happening right now, guys. Okay? Yes, and that's covered in the video as well, Jim. With a 180, you would go down to a 12-minute chart. Okay? All right, let's go over to the DAX, which is one of my favorite markets. Okay, on the DAX, you're trying to break the ATR over here. Right now, this is intra-bar. You're right at the congestion dots on the 720. You have had a wide bar on the 180. Okay, what happens on wide bars? They typically retrace. You have a magenta peak here telling me this should retrace back down here to the ATR. You've also had diverging volume on the 3-minute. This would be a Buddha between the 45 and the 3. Okay, would I enter that 5 minutes before a major market report on the futures? I absolutely positively would not do that. It's too much volatility and you are way too close to the market. If there was a spread available, yes, but short of that has a very, very low risk, I would not touch that. Everybody understand that one? All right, let's go over to the Russell. The Russell, you do have congestion dots up here, but you are not overextended. This is moving up. You're not overextended. Look at the line of congestion dots on the 180-minute chart. This is what should stand out at you today, because with a line of congestion dots here, I'm not going to trade this until they break those congestion dots and I see that they find an area that will support price to continue up. Everybody understand that? Now, if you really want to lose money, if that's your goal, go against the ATR or go against the congestion dot. And I will guarantee you just about, notice I said just about on that, that you will lose more than you make if you're going against an ATR or a congestion dot. Okay? All right, now I said I would do that, so let me go here. Now, the difference is on the video, I'm still working on it, okay? On the page itself to get it correct. Andrew, but that would depend on a time frame. What do you mean? The 180 is going to be a pretty strong time frame. Uh, a 180 minute is 3 hours, so there's room to move. It's not room to move if it's right at the ATR or the congestion dot. In this case, it's right at the congestion dot. So basically, you have a congestion dot at 1158.1. Price is at 1157.9. So yeah, you got 3 ticks to move. Do you understand that now, Andrew? So, I mean, if you're down, let's say that you are at an ATR down here in the congestion dots up here. Well, there's room between the area to take profits. But with that sitting right at the congestion dot, no, I'm not going to take it. Okay. Now this is the video that I did that all of the new members can actually access. And what I do is I go through all of the colors of the ATR and what each color means and what we're looking for. I do the same thing on the directional volume. I do it on the ADX. Also explain the peaks. What does a peak mean? What's the difference between a flat peak and a pointed top peak? You know, what does it mean when we see those two types of peaks? Then I go through the RSI indicator, explain the colors to you. This is one that you never see on my charts because I use this one, as y'all saw this morning. You know, I would be watching the British pound and the dollar just based off of the meter alone, and that's how I use the RSI. Okay? And then we have the zones, and I don't show the zones a lot in the room only because I'm changing markets a lot with these charts. So it can kind of skew because you're getting too many highs and lows as you're changing charts. So I don't do that in the room. But I do go through them in the video. Also show the radar screen and why it's important to know what all of these colors mean. For example, here you're getting divergence on that market. It's at 80.99. Directly after that, we got the magenta peak. This is why looking at the volume divergence is important, because we can actually see, okay, we're going to be getting a magenta peak because we are oversold in here, and this is telling us that we're getting long divergence. Does everybody understand that? All right. Then after I go through the indicators in the radar screen, I go through the time frames. Everything that is in parentheses is the Buddha time frame. So if you get a 720 minute ADX magenta peak, you know to go down to a 45 minute. If you get a magenta peak on a 45 minute, you know to go to a 3-minute chart. Okay? Then we start going through, okay, what do we do when we first get up to trade? What's the first things that we do? So, I show you the flow chart and I walk through the flow charts with you. I walk through the ATR, the congestion dot entry. I go through the counter trend trade, which is the Buddha trade, okay? We go through the higher time frame checks, the warning signs, and then we show you why this is a good trade versus this is a bad trade, okay? We go through why this is a good Buddha trade setup, why I would have taken this Buddha trade, okay, versus this is a bad Buddha, okay? I love saying bad Buddha. And then I actually go through the tips that I've learned to actually learn something. We go back and we implement them, like making the index cards, view the price bars, go practice it, then go view it again and go practice it again. There's no shortcuts to learning. And I have simplified this as much as can be simplified. And as much as I simplify it, if you don't dedicate the time to learn it, it's not going to help you. Because you didn't put forth your effort. And, after you get to the best method for learning, I put in the price bar video and I put in the ATR divergence video. Now, they're very short. They're not comprehensive like the 40 hours of video. But if it was me, this is the first thing I would view because it gives you an overview of everything. I know, have to do homework. God, how terrible is that? But I guess it's up to you, because if you want to lose money, then you don't do the work and you just keep floundering around hoping eventually to get lucky, pretty much. Otherwise, yeah, you have to learn. And remember, a lot of us really don't remember how to learn. It's been too long for us. It's an easy way to put it. Any questions on that at all, guys? And as I said, I'm still working on the actual page that has the video in it or on it. I don't like what it's doing at the moment, but we will get there. Guaranteed. Regarding the volume divergence, you posted on the blog on the 15th. The scanner showed the divergence at 6 a.m., yet the move on the DAX was quite a while later. Is that unusual? Well, it's all depending on how the market's moving. We can't force the market to move within, a 30-minute period. Okay? Okay, Gail, after watching this video, which one should we go to after, and how do we find the other 40 hours of video? Let me show you real quick. Let's stay on update. The Russell's going to pull back to 11:55 ATR on 3 minutes. Yeah, it should. But you better watch it, because you are in a tight congestion area. So that's all I'm saying. All right, let's go over the videos. Okay, you would start out for new clients, which is why I put it there. Then you have the volume analysis video. You have the Kickstart Your Trading videos, Kickstart Your Trading with binaries, binary option trading with Nadex. You have all the platform videos, designing a trading plan for success. Jim, I highly suggest that one. Understanding price bars is actually included in this one now. Okay, so after this one, depending on how well you know your platform, I know all of my platforms pretty well. Okay, now if you're a computer geek and you know everything about the platform that you're using, I would start out with Kickstart Your Trading. Okay, because that has the price bars, it has the volume analysis, and it has the setups in it. Then if you're going to do binaries, I would go to Kickstart Your Trading with binary videos, and I would do the binary option trading. I would not do any of these until I have mastered the colors, I have mastered the price bars, and I have mastered the volume at the ATR, volume divergence at the ATR. All three concepts are actually covered in the new client video, which is only about 45 minutes. Now, the reason that I say that, Jim, is because if you have not learned this, how can you move on to the next chapter? It's like I need to learn to add before I can subtract. And I need to learn addition and subtraction before I go to multiplication. Okay, so if you don't have the basis over here, which is included in this video, moving on is just going to confuse you. This is the starting point for everyone, in my opinion, because it's not overwhelming at all. I mean, it's 45 minutes. If you watch it a couple of times and take notes, learn your colors, you know, do the good stuff like that, all of the other stuff comes easier. Okay, for example, okay, 38.77. What does that tell me on the 3-minute ADX? Is it going up or down, guys? It's going down, because why? How do you know it is going down? It's a dark color. How many ticks away from the ATR is the crude 3-minute chart right now? And is the ATR blue or red? It's 11 ticks away, and it is a blue ATR, which means it is below price. The color tells you it is below price because it is blue. Blue is always below price. Anybody that uses the scanner or the radar screen should be able to look at this and draw each one of these charts pretty much. Which markets are trending strong? NASDAQ, Dow, S&P 500, and that's it. How do I know that? Because they're above 50. Above 50 is a strong trend. Would a dark color be a strong trend? No, because it's correcting. Does everybody understand how I just did that? There's a lot of information in the scanner window. That's what allows you to trade multiple time frames. Yeah, and I go through it really slow, Ed, in that new video. If I pull this one over here, which one just made a magenta peak, and it is not marked with a magenta peak? But I know that it did. It's not marked. British pound, nope. There's no dark colors there. New Zealand 12 minute, it is dark blue at 67. That is greater than 50. There's got to be a magenta peak there. Do y'all understand that now? And again, you know, it's up to all of you. It only comes in after 50 because 50 is what causes the ADX to turn magenta. That's the magical number. And, you know, there are a lot of details programmed into these indicators, but if you don't take time to learn the indicators, you're missing the things that are actually built in. What gives you the edge, you gave up because you didn't learn it. Does everybody understand it now? Talk about being blunt. You know, a lot of people can accuse me of a lot of things, but not providing the resources for y'all to learn everything is not one of them. If I was looking at this right now, would I want to go short on the euro? No, that is right. The euro line is going up. Why would you even consider going short on that? When would I go long on the British pound? When the setup come in. It's being really ugly, isn't it, Jim? There is nothing right now that tells me I would want to go long on it. Okay? But do you see this divergence here? Between this low and this low, you're getting a lot of divergence. You will get a magenta peak in here. Okay? It will come up and it will flip this ATR. It will come back and test that ATR. That's when I would go long, as long as there was diverging volume. And this is the thing. We know where it's likely to go. So we want to jump the gun, Jim. Okay? You can't jump the gun on these, because I'll tell you what can happen. The good scenario is it flips this ATR, it comes back, it tested, it's on the virgin volume, you get an entry to the long side, it pulls all the way up here to 66.82, which is about 60 pips away, and you're happy as a lark. That's the good scenario. The bad scenario is that the market comes to a grinding halt. And this ATR that looks so lucrative right now, sitting up here at 66.82, begins to pull down. So the next bar, it pulls down to here. Then on the next bar, it pulls down to here. And then on the next bar, it pulls down to here. And that gives you no money. That's the bad scenario. That's the reason that we wait for that setup to come in. Will I take a trade that has a magenta peak between 50 and 70? Sure. That's never been one of my requirements, that it has to be above 70. Yeah, the forum is not being used as well as it should for members. But I did move the link so it's not buried in the stuff over here. It's right up here. And the forum is an excellent area to ask questions. Now, right now, I'm not real meticulous about checking it because y'all haven't been using it, so I don't waste my time. But if you have a question, like a lot of the questions you're asking in here, you could actually ask on the forum, and we can answer it on the forum so that it benefits everybody. Okay? All right. Any other questions this morning, guys? Yeah, you can. That's the purpose of the forum, Jim, so that students can help one another. Okay? It's not just, Gail's going to help you, but other students will help you as well. And I'll tell you right now, we have a great, great bunch of traders. We really do. If we didn't have so many great traders that joined THD, I probably wouldn't have made it. But we do. Everybody wants to help each other. And, we all kind of work together. And sometimes, I explain it to you, but when a fellow student tells you, it may be slightly different, but you understand it better when they say it. If I can talk today. All right. Any other questions this morning, guys? Because, of course, I want to go trade. And again, I will be working on the video for the charts and the indicators. Now, it will work as long as you click play and move off of the screen. It will work fine. And then when you want the table of contents back, you just come over here, mouse over the video, and go to the one that you want to see. And it will go to that section. Okay? All right. Everyone have a wonderful day. I'm glad you joined us this morning. And I'll see you again tomorrow morning, same time, same place.